Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of BE Cafe. Joining us today is Marty O'Halloran, the global CEO of DDB. Welcome, Marty. He's just moved in to New York early this month after an illustrious career in Australia. Back there, he is also known as not just an advertising personality, but also as a rowing champion. I think he's been the national rowing champion, if I'm not wrong. So early this year, DDB chose an Australian national rowing champion and the CEO of their Australian business to head DDB globally. And the question that one can't help but ask you in current times is, can a rowing champion help in navigating advertising out of this storm?
Rowing taught me a lot of things, and the most important one is about teamwork. And when you all sort of coordinate and work hard together, you get the results that you'd like to achieve. And again, it's a very competitive sport. And so for me, it's all about winning, and it's about getting the right team together to make sure you can win whatever competition you're in. So, for me, being a veteran of DDB of 34 years, I think the network's quite pleased and excited that someone that actually that knows the brand, but is also known as being a real team player, but also a very competitive person at the helm to help DDB navigate the uncertain times that all of our economies around the world are facing.
Okay, speaking about, we've seen a lot of innovation happen in agencies in times like these, but many of these have been small innovations. Are these enough, or are we going to need a lot of breakthrough innovations as opposed to the incremental innovations that are happening in the agency space so far?
Look, the great agencies around the world are always transforming and changing based on the market changes. And my attitude is we have to always be a step ahead of the change in the markets we're operating. What COVID has done has accelerated the change. And we've seen clients adapt to new ways of working very quickly. And I think for me, again, it just puts pressure back on us to make sure we've got the right transformation and innovation strategy, but also we're doing it in a way that's really relevant to the clients in the various markets that we operate.
Okay, the accelerated pace of change brings us to this point that, when you're overspeeding, how do you remain in control?
Remaining in control is a really important thing. And for me, that's all about listening to, what the environment around you and making sure that, the bets we're making are ones that are really going to make a difference. And you just have to look at the change in terms of e-commerce around the world. And if you're not in control of that change and helping our agencies navigate that change, but also our clients who have had to dramatically change their business models in a lot of cases, that becomes the real opportunity as well as quite a challenge when you look at transformation.
Okay, and personally as a business leader, how do you keep adapting to change?
I'm known as a really good listener. And first for me, it's actually sort of understanding sort of what is changing in our clients' environment and also what are the macro changes that we're seeing. But then it's how you plan for the evolution of the business. And I've got this thing in my head always, I have to employ scarily talented people. And if I look at the evolution of our businesses in markets like Australia and New Zealand and also India, where we've dramatically invested in technology, data analytics, beside the strength of our traditional business. And for me, that's the area that is of greatest excitement for me. You know, a lot of people talk about the traditional advertising business being in decline, and that must concern agency leaders. And I take a different approach that, you know, there's still massive strength in the traditional channels, and we know they're still highly effective, but then the opportunity to apply our creativity using the technology platforms and the data that is available today is extraordinary. And no one can deliver that creativity in the data and technology world like a DDB, I believe, because creativity is at the heart of everything we do. Unfortunately, I think a lot of clients look at marketing automation platforms, and all it does is drive efficiency and tonnage of messaging, which often is not very relevant or very effective at driving change. But you add creativity into that, that makes a massive difference in terms of the opportunity to build brand, but also drive revenue, especially in these tough times.
While there are people who agree that creativity is going to be even more relevant and more important in a data tech-led world, there is also the other school of thought which says that, you know, data tech is going to probably tame the creative beast.
Yeah, look, I think there's a balance. It's how we can use what the technology brings and what automation brings. But I still think also within automation, there's ways to apply creative thinking in terms of how we deliver messaging. So I think the smart agencies, rather than see it as something that is potentially a major disruptor to the way we do things, it's how we embrace it. And the best examples for me is when I'm seeing our, and that's why we're investing heavily in data analytics and data strategy alongside our traditional brand strategy in terms of how we can marry the two. And again, our clients need our help in terms of, you know, every client that we work with as they're introducing new MarTech platforms, for example, it's the, you know, the journey they have to go on to make that a successful part of their, you know, marketing planning. That's where they need us as well in terms of how they deploy it and how they deploy it in the most effective way. So, you know, for me, the great agencies are the ones that can actually adapt, but also welcome new technologies, welcome the collaboration with other partners that our clients bring in. So again, we don't see, you know, marketing automation platforms like Salesforce, for example, as something that is a threat. We actually take the attitude we could unlock the power of some of those platforms through what we bring to the party from a strategic point of view, but also most importantly, creative. You know, one thing we talk about a lot in DDB is we truly believe that creativity is the most powerful force in business. And then time and time again, when creativity is properly practiced in a business, you see the long-term success, you know, in that business.
Okay, when it comes to you know, clients, there is often this growing feeling among observers that, you know, most marketers are chasing the shiny new object when it comes to embracing technology. Are agencies also running the risk of being in that same kind of chasing the new shiny object? For
me, yes, it's important we chase the new shiny object, because I think we've got the ability to decide how successful it's going to be. I think if you're not chasing the new, your business will die. And for me, that's a huge priority of mine. Again, as I said before, our most successful agencies are the ones that are constantly transforming. So I think importantly, we are great advisors to our clients in terms of, as they're looking at new investment, you know, we're often the ones that are helping them make the decision in terms of what is the right investment in terms of the innovation that they're looking at, in terms of, you know, I've got all this first party data, what am I going to do with it? How am I going to actually make it work for me? And I think, again, virtually all the clients I talk to are on a journey with their data and obviously their technology stack that exists in their business. And obviously legacy technology is a problem, and there's often a strategy in terms of how you migrate to new technologies and how you make those work effectively. And sometimes it's a long journey because of the state of the technology and the data that exists in an organisation. But again, agencies are brilliant at actually finding the quick wins, but also as you go through that migration, but also how you develop the long-term platforms that can really start to make a difference.
And if you had to give kind of 3 important golden rules, if I may call them so, to stick to in times like these, what would they be?
I think the number one is being a great partner and really listening and observing what's happening in the marketplace. And what we've also noticed is, you have to be there side by side as part of going back to the rowing, a great team. So the number one thing is really rolling your sleeves up, understanding what the challenges are in today's world, and helping the clients develop a plan. The next one for me is one of my golden rules is proactivity. So it's always thinking one step ahead and actually delivering solutions to our clients before they've even thought about them themselves. And again, I think that is, any great agency does that. And part of that is, that's really part of the creative process in terms of the creative at the heart of what we do. And the third one, which for me might sound a bit boring, but it's actually having the discipline and administration and project management to actually make things happen, make things happen cost efficiently and smartly in a world where most of our clients are dealing with limited or reducing budgets and greater scrutiny on the ROI that they're driving. So I think for me, if you combine those 3 things, you will get a great partnership, and you'll have a very successful agency at the same time.
And when we look at the entire ecosystem, we are also seeing that the role of marketing has again come under the scanner like never before, in a way that, in some companies, the marketing roles are now split into product, into tech, and so on and so forth. So does that mean that, agencies are also kind of having to run behind too many stakeholders at the client's end? Is the game getting even more and more difficult? Because you could maybe have one piece of the business, but the other piece might be with somebody else because there are.
It's a really good point you make. I was looking at some stats the other day, and a study I was looking at, that 55% of marketers admit that they're not keeping up with the change and the pace of change. And if you think about the modern marketer today, the demands that sit under their responsibility are just expanding all the time. And I think obviously in some organisations they split some of those responsibilities, which also can be challenging from an agency's point of view in terms of who you're working for. But I think it just accelerates the need for us to have the talent in our organisation that can help complement the talent that exists in the client's organisation. And I think a bit of the theme of this discussion is it's technology and data where the real opportunity lies, and that's the area where clients need the most help. And again, when we see that deployed the right way, it gives clients confidence as well. It gives senior management confidence to invest more in terms of the marketing function and what it can deliver. And but for me, I think it's if we're both going into uncharted territory, both clients and agencies, and so as great partners, they want to see us investing in new talent. And again, I see it regularly, where I was in New Zealand the other day, and we've heavily invested in data analytics and data planning, and we've now built the largest, traditional direct marketing agencies, but a very modern, new looking direct marketing business as well, in terms of the ability to leverage those platforms. But then I'm seeing a lot of the clients that they're working with, like McDonald's, for example, where we've been able to help them build in 3 years the market leading loyalty program using technology, and they're building a database that they never even thought they would need 3 years ago, and that is now driving a huge percentage of incremental revenue and traffic growth for a McDonald's. So again, they've had the advantage of not having legacy technology and legacy data, but just the ability of our people to deploy that, and that's regarded as the best loyalty program McDonald's have executed globally. And for me, that gives me great confidence that that's the sort of thing that that we need to do in every market. And that's what I love about Aditya, who runs our Indian business, because he's always innovating, he's adding new talent all the time, and he's a restless entrepreneur that's always looking at what's what's the next thing he needs to invest in, so he can deliver those sorts of results for his clients. So for me, I've actually just recently had a good look at the business plan for the Indian business, and it really excites me, because I think Aditya and his team are way ahead a lot of our other offices in Europe and North America, for example, with the thinking and the sort of talent that he's building around the wider Mudra business.
Excellent. And if you had to kind of identify 3 disciplines that are going to help the advertising business in the mid to long run, what would they be?
The 3 disciplines, well, great strategic thinking. Rigorous strategic thinking is always going to be at the center of what we do. And for me, having strategic planners who have a rigor, they clearly understand the KPIs, for me, and as I said before, but these are strategists with much wider experience, from media planning, brand planning, data planning. So how we bring all that together to create the insight. Creativity, number 2, always has to be at the heart of what we do. And as I said earlier, it's how you apply that creativity across all the disciplines. For me, that is absolutely critical, and sort of embedded in that is all of the innovation we were just talking about. So it's applying that creativity in a more holistic sense than just through traditional television commercials and posters, for example. And then really, I think the other important area is the discipline of execution, and how we can execute efficiently and smartly in a lot more channels than we've had to do in the past. And again, that the more efficiently we can do that, the more clients can reinvest back into media and back into other areas to keep driving the business. But for me, the most important 2 is rigorous strategic thinking and the best creative minds that we can find. And the reason I've had huge success in Australia and New Zealand, and we're market leader in those markets, is I invest in the best talent, and I always look for the smartest creative leaders, and I fuel them, and I invest in great talent, because for me, that's what it's all about in this business. We have to become a magnet for the best talent in the industry, and prove that we really believe in the power of creativity. And every case study I see where we've driven results off world leading creative, that's what really excites me. And for me, the biggest measure of creativity being successful is obviously it's highly awarded, but it's the awards in effectiveness are the ones I really look to, because when you can see work that's winning in Cannes, but it's also winning at Effie's, for example, that's the demonstration of DDB at its best. And I'm very lucky that my agencies in Australia and New Zealand have delivered in that way, and that's really the mission for me globally. And again, I know Aditya and his team, that is absolutely the core of what they believe they need to be doing in India.
I remember reading somewhere that, back in college days, you were known as the Mr. Diplomat, who actually had the brawn to separate a brawl, but also the temperament to cool things down. Now, shifting to the corporate boardroom, do these rules kind of come into play, and have you ever applied them?
Again, I'm a 6'3" rower, big strong lad, and yeah, there was often times where I used to have to look after my friends when they were young at university and things like that. And for me, it's part of the temperament. Is I'm quite cool, calm, and collected, but also you have to have vision. You have to look at what's happening around you and look after the people around you. And again, that's part of the philosophy I have at DDB, is in terms of how I look after the people around me and keep them out of harm's way. But most importantly, from a business point of view, it's doing the same thing in terms of creating an environment for your people where they can actually achieve more than they ever imagined they could achieve. I think the important thing is also being the wise counsel to clients who, and this is where you leverage your experience, and give them confidence to make bold decisions. And I think, again, they look to people that have the experience, have done the thinking to help them make some pretty big bets on the future of their brands. And I think, again, that has served me well. And again, that's part of the role in terms of finding the best people around me. I always have a philosophy of hiring much smarter people than I am. And as I said before, people that almost scare me with their intellect. But I think that's only a good thing. I think too many leaders are afraid to hire amazing talent for fear that they might lose their position. But I think the great leaders actually rise to high levels because they're known as someone that actually brings in the best talent they can find.
Okay, and final question before we close. You were picked up to be the global CEO in the middle of, the turmoil that the world was facing because of COVID. So what were some things that John Ren told you when you were picked up as the CEO?
Well, I think part of it was we want you to keep doing what you're doing because you've got a successful formula in the markets you've been operating. But really, John Ren is a huge believer in the power of creativity. He wanted me to stabilise the business because obviously our global business has been under pressure. But also he's given me the license and mandate to transform the business the way we need to succeed as we all come out of this crisis. And I very quickly have developed a business plan, which is going to transform DDB, but it's also going to see DDB collaborating with other Omnicom agencies in ways that we've never seen before. And also we're going to create an environment where we'll collaborate with a very different attitude with all of the other partners our clients have in the relationships they have. And again, I think it comes back to my rowing days, being a team player. It's actually how we all come together to help our clients succeed. And for me, that's always my motivation is how do I help my clients grow? And what sort of talent do I need to put around that? And obviously, if I'm helping my clients grow, it's going to help DDB grow, which helps Omnicom grow. And that was obviously something that John Ren and Omnicom are looking for from me in this new role. So again, we have to move from a survival mode, which is a lot of businesses are in COVID, to one about aggressive growth. And that's where the competitive side of me comes out as well, in terms of what's the training we need to set ourselves up for aggressive growth, but also help our clients achieve the growth that they're looking for.
Aggressive growth with Mr. Diplomat in the leader.
Exactly right.
Thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you.
No worries.
and wish you all the best
It's very nice.
for your tenure in New York. Yeah.